Dominicast presents TruthBytes, the truth in small bites. Where do we come from? What is God like? What does God want from us? TruthByte 4. Where do we come from? Once we face up to the kind of beings we humans are, the next question that crops up is, where do we come from? One thing's certain. We didn't bring ourselves into existence, mainly because we couldn't. The atheistic view being strongly pushed around the world is that, like everything else on the planet, you and I are just the product of random chance. This view is not only uncomplimentary to us, making us sound like accidents, but it doesn't actually add up when you look the facts in the face. Just looking around the physical universe and learning of the incredible complexity of it all is enough to show that accident is not a convincing explanation. The most obvious answer to that big question, where did we come from, is simply that we got here through the reproductive process. But this only explains how we got here physically. Our parents don't have the power to produce the spiritual soul that gives life and uniqueness to our body. So how did we, body-soul beings, get here? What caused us? When you think about it, everything in the world is caused by something as well as being a cause of something else. It's the old chicken and the egg argument. What came first, the chicken or the egg? But this kind of process has to start from somewhere. There had to be a first cause. Whatever it was, that set the universe rolling with all its causes and effects, including the generation of children, and it must be that something that did in itself have a cause. And what kind of cause could have set the universe rolling? Not the random chance suggested by godless scientists. It makes much more sense to say that it was a hugely intelligent designer that started it all. We'd call that designer God. And why not? As for the question about how it all started, the only answer could be from nothing. Before anything else was there was nothing but God. So it all started with God's act of creation, the whole universe coming from nothing, from the will of God, and it all goes on existing by God's will. There are attitudes to God, and maybe you hold some of them, that treat him as irrelevant or as a nuisance. Many people say they believe in God, but it's pretty obvious that he doesn't mean a thing to them. They can take him or leave him. But if God is the maker or cause of everything, he is not a being that we can take or leave. We can't wish him out of existence because he is the one that gives us existence, and we can't admit him into our lives. He is already there.
TruthByte 5. What's God like? Although some people work really hard at denying that there is a God at all, most of us don't buy their arguments. They don't explain what caused the universe, what caused us. But the next million-dollar question is, what kind of being is this God? There are plenty of ideas floating about, some more unattractive than others, most not true. There is the image of the old man in the sky, entering everything we do in his record book and sending us to hell if the profile doesn't look good. Other ideas are slightly more sophisticated. They represent God not as a person, but as a blind force that set the universe in motion and then backed away from it. This idea kills all reasons for religious faith. No one can relate to a blind force, especially as a blind force is actually inferior to us. People who don't want religion in their life prefer to think of God as a very negative kind of being. Richard Dawkins, who rakes in a lot of popularity and money from his campaign against God and religion, uses all kinds of horrific words to describe the Christian God. He makes God out to be a man-hating, world-hating monster. Then there are those positive concepts of God, like the idea that he is a loving, indulgent father who doesn't expect much of us and lets us do anything that will make us feel good. All these ideas of God are very far from the truth. And if we don't have the truth about God, there's not much point in being clear about anything else. God can't be the old guy in the sky, because God is a pure spirit. Sure, at one point in history he took on a human nature in Jesus Christ, who is both God and man. But as God, he is spirit. He doesn't have a body. He doesn't have a beard. And he is unchanging and unchangeable, and therefore never old. He's not in the sky. He's everywhere, because without his presence in creation, nothing can exist. He puts everything in existence and keeps it there. He is a personal God. He's actually three persons in one God. He's certainly not just a force, which is only a thing. He knows and loves, which is what a person does. And he knows everything and loves everything and everyone, past, present, and future. As for the record of our sins, he doesn't need a notebook, because he knows the world from the inside out, and he knows us from the inside out. Being our maker, he has purposes in creating everything, including us. So he's hardly going to allow us to go ahead and wreck the whole thing without consequences to ourselves. Like a father standing by uncaring while the kid scratches graffiti on the new car or sets himself alight playing with matches. The main thing to grasp about God is that he is limitless, infinite in every way, in every good way, that is. He's not only alive, he is life itself. He's not only truthful, he is truth itself. He not only loves his creation, he is love itself. He's without beginning and without end, and completely unchanging. He is the one and only completely independent being. All of this makes him so different from us that we can hardly think about it. Sure, we can play the let's pretend and ignore his existence game. We can invent a God that suits us, custom-made for our tastes and perceived needs. But none of that will alter those staggering facts about him. It won't change the reality of his relationship to me or mine to him. God just is God.
TruthBytes 6. What does God want for us? Why did God create the world? Create me? Frank Sheed is right on target when he says, because he thought we'd like it. This makes complete sense when you think about how complete and perfect God is. He couldn't possibly gain anything personally from making the universe, so it must be for our benefit. One of the great truths about God is that he's a personal God, 3 persons to be exact. The mark of a person is that they know and love. And because God is unlimited, he not only knows everything, but he loves everything. That's why we find in St. John's letters those amazing words, God is love. That's something no human being could claim, however loving and lovable they may be. And the old Catholic Catechism answer to the question, why did God make me, goes even further. God made me to know him, to love him, and serve him here on earth, and to be happy with him in heaven. That boils down to, God made me for happiness. Sounds like a very loving thing to do. You could say, God made me out of love, and he made me for love. That doesn't mean that he created me to have a comfortable life, full of fun and with all my wishes coming true. You don't need to be told that love and happiness go together. When you think about it, our greatest happiness comes from being loved. And the first thing we want to do when we love someone is to make them happy and keep them that way. Mother Teresa of Calcutta brought dying people in from the streets and showered them with love and care, even just for a few hours or days, so that they died happy. God has made us for true lifelong relationships of love. Not all of us have this experience because we share the world with a lot of imperfect people like ourselves who don't really know how to love. But God teaches us the secrets of love and happiness if we care to listen. And He gives us the help, we call it grace, to build love into our lives, so that if we're fortunate enough to love and be loved by good people, we can really become our best and most fulfilled selves, truly happy. Wherever we look, we see some genuinely happy people, but also many whose lives are a mess. We see a lot of suffering and misery and quite a lot of evil. Many people blame God for this and decide He must be a mean, sadistic kind of being. But they don't stop to think that most of the misery on earth comes from people choosing the wrong path to love and to happiness. It comes from human sin, which is basically a breakdown of love. St. John of the Cross tells us that if we don't find love in our life, we should put it there. Pretty good advice. In other words, don't go around moaning that no one loves you. Start the ball rolling by spreading around a bit of love yourself. But make sure it's the real thing. In the end, no one should consider themselves as unloved. God is love, and He can't not love. A love relationship with Him is actually the easiest thing in the world, and the one that will bring us to the top level of happiness here and in the next life. That's His plan and His promise.